seen it in its full form, but in the lobby there's all of the stuff that you see up here right now on the screen was present physically, and guests of the film festival would go up and put new ideas on it. They say, oh, I'm from Detroit. Like I talked to a lot of people coming in tonight, and they say, oh, I never heard about this. This is cool. Oh, you guys should do this, or I'd like to see a walking tour in this neighborhood. I'd like to see you do something with this group. So we asked, they said, great idea. I'm going to forget. So write it down on the board. And then Jim and Monica have been kind of massaging it and curating it, and they're going to talk a little bit more about their process with their team here. And I think that's as much as I can talk about it, and I'll let you guys finish the story.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much. So please give a warm welcome to Jim and Monica. And
Thank you, Todd. So we have a number of guests here, and some of a couple of guests are joining us on a Zoom call. Monica, are you able to talk with them on the Zoom and introduce them?
Yes. Bart, Eddy is with us today from the Brightmoor Makerspace. And Bart, I have this video I'm going to run in the background. If you could talk to us about what you do there with a specific focus on your bike projects.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if you can hear me clearly. There's been a bit of a difficulty in that regard, but at any rate, so we operate. Hear you. You can hear me? Okay.
Yes.
We operate the Brightmoor Makerspace, which is located at Detroit Community Schools in Brightmoor. We do a number of different programs there, which carpentry, woodcraft, bike maintenance and repair. We do fashion design, robotics, filmmaking, and yeah, we do whatever we can. We repair tractors when we get them for free. So we're working on that too. We employ in our work young people from the community and Detroit Community High School as well. So we operate these programs on a year-round basis, and on occasion, we rehab industrial trikes that have been donated to us by Ford Motor Company, and we turn them into operative vehicles with an electric assist motor. And in some cases, which you're seeing there right now, it was a water purification trike that we had hooked up. Basically a very fun project to work on with the kids. And this was done sort of as a response to the water shutoffs in Detroit, which you know have been going on for a long time. So anyway, that's my introduction. That's some mural work that you see. We're looking right now at the wood shop. These are some of the prototype construction dog houses that we built. This is mural work, actually, that's done by CCS. They've been our partners for a long time. And this is in our wood shop. We also were engaged at the moment in making outdoor classrooms for different organizations. And in the community, Brightmoor Alliance, we're doing one at their prayer park at the moment. Covenant Church, we just completed one. St. Suzanne's Côte Rouge Center. We've done work there as well. We do whatever we can, whenever we can. We try to provide, at very least, a secondary source of income for the young people with whom we're working. And so, for instance, we sell signage that we make back into the community. We're getting commissions from the outdoor classrooms that we're building. We sell rehab bikes for a really decent prices. And in other words, we're on a hustle.
This must be a good place to interrupt a bit.
Yeah, I could listen to Bart talk all day and tour his space all day long, but we're on a time crunch here, so we're going to shift over to Bob Barnes, who's with us with Free Bikes for Kids, and we've just been so impressed with the story of that organization, and would love if you could give us a 2-minute rundown on what you're doing there. And I have this Channel 4 piece I'll just run in the background.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you, Monica, and thanks for inviting me, and hello to everybody. I hope you guys can hear me.
Well, if you're like me,
so
you
Free
know
Bikes
how
for
awesome
Kids
it was
is an organization we started as an organization in 2008 in Minneapolis. Detroit didn't come about until 2018. So this is our 5th season of collecting bikes. We collect bikes from the public, so used bikes that kids have outgrown that are just sitting in garages all across the city, in suburbs and all over town. And we collect them on one day, and Home Depot is our sponsor for that the last few years. So at, multiple, last year was 22 Home Depot stores. I think this year we had 16 Home Depot stores. They will collect bikes on, this year was October 1st. And we collected just about 2,000 bikes this year, and they continue to trickle in. We've got some other collection partners that are working with us. Amazon is involved, and Dean Sellers Ford is also collecting bikes on our behalf. So we've got, we're going to have about 2,500 to 3,000 bikes by the time we're done. And then we have hundreds of volunteers that come and help us clean them and fix them. And so it's a very well-designed process by the folks that originated it in Minneapolis. And there's a playbook that, they provide you when you start a chapter here, but then there's 17 of them across the country. So we were number 8 out of 17. And we'll give those bikes away to kids in the city, in Detroit, through pre-registered organizations. So Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or church-based organizations, or neighborhood groups, or we work with a lot of bike life clubs as well, as they have folks in their neighborhoods that they are providing bikes to. And then schools. So DPS CD schools will apply for bikes as well. And so just before the holidays, we'll give all these bikes away, and the warehouse where we work, Piston Group Warehouse, down off of Michigan Avenue, where we've been the last couple of years, will be empty by the end of the year. So we'll give them all away. So it's a ton of fun. It's wonderful to do, and it's a win-win-win when you keep stuff out of the landfill and get a kid a new bike and bring the whole community together to make it happen.
Wow, that is so wonderful. Thank you both for joining us via Zoom. And now we're going to go to our in-person panelists, and we have Todd from the Detroit Greenways Coalition has joined us. And could you give us a 2-minute rundown, and I'll just play the Greenways in the background here.
Sure, yeah. Todd Scott, I'm the executive director for the Detroit Greenways Coalition. So we're a nonprofit that's trying to build a network of safe, fun, convenient biking and walking options all across the city of Detroit. We started in 2007 when we had some nonprofits in Detroit building trails and greenways around the city, but they weren't connected. And so the Greenways Coalition came about as a way to get all these trails connected and had this solidified vision. Back then, the city of Detroit really wasn't into trails. This was pre-bankruptcy. And they weren't into bike lanes either. So we've been spending a lot of time twisting their arm and getting them into this more. And then after bankruptcy, they've really started to get more and more into trails and greenways. And one project that we helped start was the Joe Louis Greenway, which you may have heard about. It's now like a 30-mile trail that loops around the city. It started off as just an 8-mile section of abandoned rail corridor, and someone had the idea of, why don't we connect one end to the DeQuinter Cut and connect the other to the Riverwalk? And we had people say that was just a wild hallucination. And now it is like one of the top 2 projects in the city of Detroit. The mayor's gotten $100 million from the state to help build it. They've also put in millions of dollars of ARPA funds, and hopefully the county's going to be kicking another $20 million soon. But it's under construction now. There's going to be a groundbreaking October 29th at 10 o'clock. And super excited to see this trail that went from just a crazy vision to something that's actually getting built in the city of Detroit. It's going to be a world-class facility. It's going to be an improvement even over the DeQuinter Cut.
Well, And I think we saved the best for last.
Yes.
Okay, in Mama Ravin.
The soul of the Detroit Riverfront.
There you go.
If you could, Mama Ravin, tell us about your Herbal Walk and Talk program, and I'm going to play a video of that, and then something you're, I won't say it, you have to say it in your way.
Greetings and welcome to everybody that's here today. I'm Regina Lawson and favorably called Mama Ravin. I was born a river rat and I'm a Detroit River, and now I'm an avid volunteer for the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy and maybe 15 other organizations around Detroit. But my favorite part of Detroit is that riverfront. I was accidentally discovered on the riverfront. They used to call me the weed lady because I was always running around bent over on the riverfront, identifying and trying to find different edible, medicinal, and survival types of flowers and plants and trees and grasses of that sort. So I started teaching people because I was wondering why they were referring to me as this weed woman. And so the Department of Natural Resources had a meeting with me, and they found out in their wetlands on the riverfront in Milliken State Park, there were a lot of things they know nothing about. Like we have an entire salad can be developed from that wetland area. But they didn't know that when they put all those wildflowers and things in there. But I knew, especially about the dandelion, because at age 5, I had this passion for dandelions. My grandmother used to take the dandelions and stretch collard greens for 19 people every Sunday. So therefore, dandelions became part of me. And ever since age 5, I became a vegetarian at 5, a vegan at 11. I'm 73 now. So I've been a vegan, I think, for 56 years. And my life has been, this is what Monica was referring to as my passion. It's all about them dandelions. So that's basically what I teach. And I'm famous and known for my dandelion stew, dandelion coffee, dandelion wine. You say dandelion, I can dandelion it. It's crazy, but back then when I was talking about the dandelion and harvesting dandelion and cooking with it, people thought I was nuts. Neighbors thought I was crazy. But now everybody's catching up with me. So I'm just watching this dandelion parade and all these things that you can grow in your backyard to actually survive by. You can make medicine from it. You can eat from it. It's just so much you can do. And it's a wonderful and pleasurable time doing just that. So that's just me and my dandelion story.
What about your bike project that you were talking about?
Oh, that's
Yes,
why I'm here.
thank you, Todd.
And then I decided, well, since I'm always on that riverfront, and I'm an ambassador, so I'm talking with people from him. And by the way, we have been voted 2 years in a row the #1 river walk in the USA. So this year we're going for the trifecta, so it helps us vote, so we become 3 in a row. But I had this thought, because I have a tricycle, but I haven't been able to ride it in the past year because I fell on some ice last year, so I'm trying to fix this knee of mine. But anyway, I have a lot of friends that want to ride, and they're seniors like I am, but they're afraid to ride with all these big organizations that's riding through the city. So I decided to have a talk with the 7th Precinct police officers. And we had this meeting a couple days ago, and they just love the idea of me starting a slower roll. Now you gotta get this. I want everybody to say slower roll. But when you get to the ER, it drops off. So every time I say this to somebody, they say, that sounds like a good idea. Let's take them. So I decided, let's ride them down to DeQuinta Cut and on the Riverwalk. They don't have to cross any streets. They don't have to be bothered with vehicles, cars, and that nature. So that's why I'm here talking about senior slower roll.
Okay, we better get on to this film screening here, but I'm going to turn the computer around so our friends joining us from Zoom can see the film. That won't cause too much glare. I don't think it will.
I didn't know she was going to show off.
And then we'll do a little Q&A if everybody still feels like it at the end with everybody talk about any issues that come up from the films.
Thank you.
We'll do that.
I think so.
Can you guys see the screen? No?
This allegedly all-powerful coalition that's destroying our town, in the opinion of some. This is great. Thank you so much. So we have a few quick questions, and we'll take maybe a question from the audience, but I was wondering, Jim and Scott and Bob, thanks for watching with us through Zoom. Next year, hopefully we'll get you out here for a good experience. Well, I'll buy you a bag of popcorn. All right, it's on me. So I'm wondering, the question is just what struck you, what resonated with you? You saw a whole breadth of films about different issues that bicycles face, different passions that get people on the bike. And I was wondering if just you'd share what one or two of those were that stuck out to you.
Sure. What's interesting is that everyone's fighting some of the similar struggles all around the world and across the United States in terms of trying to get a little bit of space on the road for biking, and also making sure that we don't have law enforcement getting too involved in making biking a fun and free way to get around. And we've dealt with that a little bit in Detroit, where it was 2008. Detroit Police Department decided they were going to start enforcing a mandatory bike registration law in the city of Detroit, and found out that they only really wanted to do that. Community members down to Atlanta to see it, and they were really impressed. I mean, one thing about the Beltline that's different from, say, the DeQuinter Cut is that there's more, it's more connected to the neighborhood. You're not in a gully, and there's more opportunity for neighborhood parks and for more affordable housing and retail. But I think Atlanta also made a lot of mistakes too, in terms of gentrification with their greenways. So Detroit was very certain that they didn't want the bad aspects of the Atlanta Beltline reproduced with the Joe Louis Greenway. I think one other nice thing too, you might notice how crowded it was on their trail. You really can't even bike it when it's really that crowded. So Detroit decided to have two separate paths that will parallel each other. One will be for walking slow, and the other will be for biking, and there'll also be an area for running as well.
I was sleeping when you asked the question.
Dreaming about bikes. Well, the question was just what did you see of the films that struck you, that resonated with you? Where did you see yourself, or what you'd like to be?
You know, I like that part about the seniors when they were being pedaled through.
Don't we all want to go on that trip?
So that kind of adds a little bit to what I want to do here, you know, and get those guys that pedal people around the city, because I live in Rivertown, downtown Detroit, and we see a lot of those peddlers with two-seaters, but I like what I saw today in this film about that, so I would probably include that in my thoughts, what I wanted to do with the seniors this coming year.
That'd be beautiful. Paradise is here.
Yeah.
Jim, how about you?
I think the things that resonated mostly with me was the insights that people were having about the life that evolves when you're, rested and excited at the same time. And I think the elements of biking that go to health and wellness are something that's well recognized in this moment. And over the last couple of years, we have had some historic stuff put in front of us, and those opportunities to get into nature and into our own space is, I think, really crucial.
Bob.
Yeah, the audio was tough to hear, to be honest with you, on Zoom. It's only a couple of them were real clear. The LA County Bike Coalition was one that was pretty easy to hear, and Biking While Black, I think, was pretty easy to hear. I don't know. I was very encouraged by the LA County thing. I thought that was really what a challenge with LA. How big that city is, and we're Todd and a lot of other folks are working hard to make Detroit mobility more bikeable. And I just think about LA, times how many, what we have, and that's very much like Detroit, a car culture. So, but it was encouraging to see what was going on there. Free Bikes for Kids has actually worked with San Diego Biking Coalition and San Diego County Biking Coalition, and we've started a Free Bikes for Kids chapter there, and we're actually, I think, we may be talking to LA County also Biking Coalition about maybe doing a Free Bikes for Kids program in LA. But yeah, so that was encouraging. That's probably what the most that I was able to get out of it on Zoom, to be honest with you.
That's great. You only had to give one. You could have just said, "Oh, this is the most important one." You could have just faked it. But I think that's good that Detroit, can take a lesson from LA, similar car culture that they're banning things. It's a great question. Maybe to go back to the panel. Say, what's something you saw in one of those videos you wish Detroit would learn? Something where you saw Detroit could really learn from this.
There was a certain aspect of gifting going on here, and from those who participated, I think Detroit could learn a great deal about the human side of the equation, which oftentimes is set aside and not embraced and not focused on. So maybe we see the other side of the circularity of intention with regards to humanness.
How about just the simple power of having a bike rack in front of your house and work? And just empowering people to improve their own space.
Yeah. I actually think if you installed a rack in front of your own business in Detroit, no one would pay attention. Definitely not in a 24-hour period. Oh my God. That city's on top of stuff. But no, I know the city of Detroit is talking, the city has never installed bike racks, and so I know there's some talk about perhaps going after some funding to do that. So, because I know bike parking is still really bad, and especially in certain areas. Some places there's a lot of it, some places there's none. So, I'm going to be meeting with the city next week. We're going to talk about that and many other things.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the audience? Anyone want to share something?
No, just a statement. This whole Better Cities Film Festival was incredible. Today was the only day I was able to come. I will not miss next year. I'm really looking forward to this whole place being filled up every single day. And I'm going to do everything I can to help that happen.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And the quality of the films.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, the audio is really bad. I missed whatever that was.
Oh.
Did someone hack my Spotify?
Someone's Spotify. Monica's lullaby playlist just started.
I'm sorry, I've got
Well, Red Hot Chili Peppers for you.
So, well, thank you very much.
Hannah.
Well, I was really interested with the Biking While Black film especially, and related to it not obviously being black, but in a different way of just like, there's not just the safety of it existing and having spaces and not getting hit by a car is one level of it, but also just the safety, like being a woman and biking and being alone and things like that. And when I don't live in the city anymore, but when I did, I bike commuted everywhere for years and really enjoyed it and felt like just everything that they talked about the way that biking and commuting like benefits your life. I felt every aspect of that. And I don't want to like say this to be like morbid or like, I guess like trigger warning, but like there was something that happened in the news, the exact time period where I was biking everywhere all the time. And it was literally 24 hours in the exact same time of night and the exact same road that I had biked down at the same time of night the day before, where it was kind of a series of things where these girls were getting snatched off their bikes and taken. And it happened like multiple, they ended up catching the guys and like they went to prison and stuff, but it was like just it kind of like stopped my whole routine of my daily like life, and I really kind of I tried not to internalize it, but it really shook me, and I had a hard time kind of readjusting to bike commuting after that and just feeling safe and doing that, especially at night where I used to like not really feel a problem with that, you know. So I guess like I know that was mostly a statement and less of a question, but like what. And like another person in one of the films said, like, we can't make it safer until there's institutional things to make it safer, and a lot of this is like a trickle down, but like what can we do, like as much as we can tell people how to be safer, like I feel like there's sort of a disconnect between like knowing that we can be safe to do that. And I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about that. I know it's probably
Scott, you have some thoughts? I have some thoughts too.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of meetings as a result of those incidents on what to do, and I mean the one idea was let's build great biking facilities and so it attracts everybody to use a similar route, and if there's more people on the route, maybe there'd be less opportunity for these one-off things to happen, especially a route with good lighting, call boxes and all that, and specifically that's what helped push us to do the Joe Louis Greenway along Hamtramck Drive. Because I think that's where one of the incidents happened.
And I lived in Hampshire. That's exactly where I lived and was biking often. So.
Yeah. So the city is putting in. The city's going to be expanding the DeQuinter Cut. For those who are familiar with DeQuinter Cut, it's going to be extended all the way up to Grand Boulevard, go underneath Grand Boulevard, and then there's going to be a separate path that's going to go all the way to Joseph Campo, with lights, call boxes, and everything. So I think it's going to attract a lot of people as well, and so you're just going to feel more safer with folks. We also, another thing we see too with, we see a lot more women riding in groups, and a lot more women starting bike clubs. We have a lot of women-led bike clubs in Detroit, and I think that's one of the reasons why they don't feel necessarily safe by themselves, but they feel safer riding in a group together.
Thanks, that's great to know. Well, I'll just say thanks for sharing that. Because it is a very, when you're holding that fear, that's something that's hard to share, to say that. We had another film in this 4 days called Bike Yourself, and it was about this very issue about people feeling safe, and that in that film, some of the people say, well, I ride my bike, I feel safe, and then they were surprised that their friend, who was a woman or who was a person of color, did not feel safe. And that was a revelation for them, and it kind of woke them up to, these other issues, that it's not just, with all credit to the Kronberg group, it's not just about infrastructure, right? It's also about sharing our stories. So that helps people to think about all these issues, and that's what we're trying to do at the film festival in a larger way, is just create a venue where people can share their story about how the infrastructure, how the built environment has shaped them, so that we can all learn and benefit from that, and then something good will come out of that from all the people who are here, who are in that industry, and who are advocates for all these projects. So learn in every project becomes improved the more stories that go into it. So that's the heart and mission of this film festival. So I hope you do come back. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of the last. You're flagging me down. I don't know if you're directing me in or
Well,
you.
yeah,
One part, two-part question.
Okay, two-part.
First is I'm familiar with Atlanta the way I go out here a lot, and the food and everything, and being able to access, like you said, kind of close to the community. I was wondering if something like that is going to be incorporated here. It's like we ride the Quitter Cut, we ride Jefferson, we ride all these pathways, but besides the Quitter Cut recently to when they have the food spot out there now, it's like sometimes I want to do more than just ride a path. is it gonna be something incorporated to maybe we have a food truck lane where the path takes us by these food trucks, takes us by these startup shops that might sell like t-shirts and jewelry and accessories, have an area that brings us a little, incorporates this small businesses and bikers together instead of just bike paths to just drive around or ride around, or bike paths that take you by some of these bigger businesses downtown, these restaurants that we pull up to and park our bikes at. Instead of just, trying to get to Campus Marshes and park our bikes and find a food truck or something like that. And then another side part of that question was, with these new bikeways coming up, are there going to be incorporations of, say like air pumps? Like you ride the Quimber's Cut and you catch a flat and not everybody carries a pump. Or you might need some air, it's like, could that be incorporated later on? And, I mean, I can go further as far as like business games, all kinds of stuff, but the basic air, or there's no water, I don't know, I can't remember if it is, but is there any water fountains on the Corner Cut or anything like that?
There's no water.
There's
no water pipes.
Of course, because it's the railway, but you get what I'm saying. It's like everybody stops. A lot of people don't carry backpacks. I do, but if I wanted to stop for water and not stop for beer, I mean, just a thought. But.
Yeah, it's more user-centered insights. People that ride it, like the things that they
I love
need. That's so great.
I'm just thinking like.
Yeah, so I mentioned that the Joe Louis Greenway is going to be better than the Quinter Cut, and it's going to be better because of the reasons you just mentioned. It's going to have access to restaurants along the way and stores. There are actually some pumps throughout the city, repair stations, but the problem with the pumps is that the design of them, they don't last very long and they get broken and they haven't been being fixed very well. But yeah, definitely. I mean, we have people, community members in some of these areas where they're building the trail, and they're actively saying, we need someone to come in here. We have a building for them. We need to put a coffee shop in here. We need to put in a bike shop here. And community members are excited because they're actually bringing some retail back to their area that they've always wanted.
All right, so we got more. You got more?
Yeah.
So will the Joe Louis Greenway be completely separated from motorized traffic, or will it sometimes will you be crossing streets at all and things like that?
Yeah, it will cross streets. It will cross streets now and then, but because it's a railroad, and that railroad went in 120 years ago, there were no streets out there. This was farmland, so there's not a lot of crossings over the railroad so you can go long ways, maybe a mile before you hit another road. So there'd be like 1 mile, another mile. So it's gonna be pretty decent. It's not gonna be like necessarily the Quinter Cut where you have 2 miles of no cars, but it's gonna be good.
Okay, I have a follow-up question to that. So intersections are often really dangerous places for cyclers. They don't get seen, especially like right turns, left turns, things like that. Are you guys doing anything in that regard to protect people? Yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah, so all the intersections are going to be improved a great deal, and the roads are going to be narrowed ahead of time, so there's fewer car lanes. In some cases, there's going to be actually lights put in, traffic lights. But yeah, that's a priority, definitely.
In that one film, in the one section, there was that green box just for cyclists.
Yep, we have bike boxes like on Cass. The ones on Cass aren't the best, but there's some in Ferndale that are much better. Cass was kind of we squeezed bike lanes in there, and some people wanted to maintain the maximum amount of on-street parking, and so it limited how good the Cass Avenue bike lanes could be. But maybe in the future we'll get those improved.
I just was wondering, how we could get involved with the bike movement here.
Yeah, so you can go on our website, DetroitGreenways.org, and sign up for our newsletter, and we share information about how to get involved. And we don't have anything specific right now, like any legislation that we're working on, but we may have in the coming months. So we're really also involved in with climate change and changing some things at the state level, so that, because one of the great ways to reduce carbon emissions is getting more people biking and walking, and we're going to have to shift how we fund things in Michigan, and so we may need some help with that.
And of course, we're running a charrette from now until next year. And we'll be making people aware of that. So if you've signed up for the engagement with the Better Cities, you'll be hearing some.
We'll be sharing links through their channels. And if you go down the hallway toward the restrooms, if you look on the right wall, there's a QR code, and you can get access to that mural that we've been using all weekend.
So once again, I'd just like to give a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you to Jim and Monica for all of your wonderful work all week. And a round of applause to Cinema Detroit as well, Tim and Paula. Platform to shows run smoothly. And thank you to all of you in the audience and at home, our television audience. That you're here, that you're watching the films. It means a lot to me, and this is the last night of the festival, so thank you so much for welcoming me to your town and having all these conversations. Thank you.